spike traps are set, but the raider just strolls past them and heads straight inside Takashi's
Oh,
home.
you're gonna die from heat stroke. You're dead. He's being kidnapped.
Okay, yeah. Without him, Takashi would most probably be dead. But we're short on food, and Takashi has a history of alternative cuisine. Looks like meat's back on the menu. Welcome back. Takashi Glenn returns, our gay bad cannibal psychopath. Still on the rim and still very hungry. Nothing's changed about him except maybe the smell, but he remains as lonely as ever. After all, it's hard to keep friends when most of them become a part of you. Still, maybe this time will be different. Maybe Takashi will finally find someone to stand by his side instead of within him. The start remains as uneventful as ever. Cassandra sends a mad tortoise to harass Takashi, but it obligingly walks over 2 spike traps and dies while he sleeps. Then comes a quest, the Forsaken Traveller. A stranger wants to stay for 12 days, his name is Bernard, he's a bat, and he's gay. If Cassandra has ever answered Takashi's prayers, this is it. Bernard apparently enjoys his stay with Takashi, despite giving the colony's rundown shack. In fact, he decides he wants to stay permanently. Perhaps this is something. I immediately start expanding his shack into a proper home, even laying down flooring so it doesn't feel like he's living in a cave. Then a quest appears, requesting a labourer. I send Takashi. Before boarding the shuttle, he drops his gun for Bernard, just in case Cassandra decides to send some trouble while he's away. And with that, it's up to Bernard, alone for a few weeks, watching over Takashi's grisly cannibal shacks. While Takashi is away, Bernard moves into his house. He spends his time fortifying the base, throwing up stone walls to prepare for raids, and at long last, moving the construction away from wood. Yes, after endless requests, we're finally building with something that won't get destroyed each time we're raided. But peace on the rim is never permanent. A raider arrives, heads straight for the Spurs shack and sets it on fire. Bernard intercepts, takes an arrow and kills the raider with a clean shot, then takes the fire out. It's impressive. He's competent, reliable, and still standing. For the first time, I find myself thinking, maybe Takashi should get with Bernard. Bernard's next visitor is a mad rat, which dies instantly to a spike trap. Hardly worth mentioning, though Cassandra clearly has something against him. She immediately follows it up by blighting the rice crop, as if she's trying to starve him out before Takashi returns. Then comes another raid. Bernard is mid-cooking when the attacker arrives, but he handles it with surprising finesse, weaving around spike traps and luring the raider straight into them. The result is instant, the raider dies and Bernard survives. And his resume as Takashi's potential partner just keeps getting stronger. It isn't even 4 minutes before the next raider arrives. Just like the last, the attacker blunders straight into the spike trap and gets downed, though he lands a hit on Bernard before getting downed. Cassandra clearly isn't finished because moments later she powers on a psychic drone targeting males. Bernard does the sensible thing. He lies down to rest and lets the raider bleed out. Efficient, pragmatic, and just a little bit cold-blooded right there. In other words, exactly Takashi's type. Takashi finally returns and Cassandra welcomes him home with a cold snap. The crops had only started to recover from the blight, so naturally, they start dying. We managed to salvage a few harvests before the frost wipes everything out, but food security is very bad right now. As if that wasn't enough though, a pack of man-hunting monkeys show up. They don't get far, the spike traps do their usual work and the monkeys die. Once the cold snap breaks, the rice is replanted and hopefully it's not going to get another blight or cold snap anytime soon. A transport pod crashes and almost immediately a raid begins. The raider is unarmed, which really raises the stakes. Terrifying stuff. He takes 2 rounds from Bernard's revolver before stumbling through 3 spike traps and collapses. Unfortunately, this does highlight a problem. The traps don't instantly kill anymore. We'll need to start upgrading materials if we want to keep cheesing raids with flawed spikes. Takashi, of course, makes best of the situation. He eats the raider's body triumphantly. Unfortunately for both Bernard and Takashi, a panther decides Bernard looks like dinner. He wounds it, but the panther takes him down and eats him alive. Just like that, Takashi's one chance at companionship is gone. Takashi naturally was going to court him eventually. Instead, he's left to pick up Bernard's dropped revolver and execute the panther in cold blood. Justice perhaps, but it's hollow justice. Now Takashi is alone again. Alone and waiting probably for a very long time until Cassandra decides to send him another gay colonist. Cassandra, in her infinite cruelty, follows Bernard's death with a pack of manhunting guinea pigs. They chase Takashi while he's harvesting rice, but he simply retreats towards the spike traps. They die, hardly the most terrifying revenge Cassandra could have cooked up. With that nuisance gone, Takashi hauls in the rice through a storm, then turns to processing Bernard. Bernard may be gone, but in Takashi's stomach, he'll always be with him. Perhaps out of sympathy for Bernard's death, Cassandra drops a cargo pod. It's full of giant spider silk, potentially useful, though it also spikes the colony's wealth, which, of course, means stronger raids, but stronger raids also mean better loot, so I'll take it. Not long after, a wanderer named Klein joins. She's a misandrist, which would be awkward anywhere else, but Takashi doesn't seem to care in the slightest. In fact, Takashi doesn't even seem to care about anything. He just keeps going, the gay bad cannibal psychopath, and who has no emotions, maybe apart from previously wanting to bed Bernard. Next up a quest, Chef and the Guinea Pigs. Chef is running away from 4 man-hunting guinea pigs, not exactly a heroic backstory, and I hesitate to accept, since anyone who can't outrun guinea pigs probably isn't prime colonist material, but we need the labour. So in he comes. One guinea pig goes down to gunfire, and the other 3 meet their end on the spike traps. But then I check the wealth chart. Things have changed. Since Bernard's death, the value has been creeping higher and higher. Too high. Something big is coming, I can feel it. And then the obligatory manhunter back. Again, guinea pigs. Fortunately, there's a trading caravan visiting the base. Takashi, being the closest to the rodents, lures them straight into the traders. They cut the guinea pigs down in seconds, sparing our spike traps the trouble. Very efficient and, most importantly, free. Then comes a raid, right in the middle of a heatwave. Just to make sure everyone's miserable, the raiders attack immediately. I send Chef and Klein to deal with the first while Takashi takes on the second. It doesn't go smoothly. Chef gets torn up fast, so I redirect Takashi to help him out, but that leaves Takashi exposed. A raider is behind him. At this point, it's simple. Takashi is the protagonist, so he saves himself first. Klein joins in, and together they bring down the second raider.
Why aren't you melee attacking?
Takashi is bleeding out in 7 hours, so I force him to patch himself up. Chef only has 5, and unfortunately his name is not Takashi. By the time Takashi limps over to save him 4 hours later, Chef dies. The raiders, meanwhile, die slowly outside the walls, bleeding to death. We never bothered to finish them off, and they, frankly, deserved a slower death. With Chef gone and Takashi's hunger conveniently dealt with, the base is admittedly painted red. Cleanup will have to wait because Cassandra immediately offers a quest. House a tribesman named Rhino for 8 days. He won't do any work, which makes him the perfect bait if things go south. He's the sacrifice. I even lock him into a single room to stop him from wandering around and causing problems. Then, another quest arrives. Outsource labor for a similar amount of time. I send Takashi. That way, if the colony collapses in his absence, at least he won't be part of the body count. Everyone else is expendable. Takashi, after all, is the protagonist. With Takashi gone, the colony starts to unravel immediately. Klein has a tantrum, smashes a few things, then goes to bed. The next day she upgrades to Berserk, picks a fight with a turtle and actually kills it, though not without getting herself injured in the process. She stays Berserk while the wounds fester into an infection, and she eventually collapses. At this point, Rhino has absolutely done nothing useful, so I draft him and force him to drag her back to bed. He manages that much, but it doesn't matter. Klein dies as he's carrying her. Rhino eventually collapses and Cassandra decides to throw a man in black to save the colony. His name is Shivo and, ironically, he's Rhino's son. Shivo rescues his father, gets him back on his feet, only for Rhino to immediately suffer catatonic breakdown. He collapses again, refusing to move. Absolutely peak performance from Rhino. When the quest shuttle finally arrives to collect him, Shivo has no choice but to haul his useless father aboard. A rescue technically, though. Takeshi returns to the colony and immediately puts on a bowlhound. Cassandra joins in by sending a manhunter pack of rats, 3 of them. Both Takeshi and Shivo are decent shots, but in Rimworld that hardly matters. As usual, every bullet misses and the rats obligingly kill themselves on the traps instead. 10 minutes of quiet rebuilding later, Cassandra remembers her job. A raid from Maestan, 1 raider, armed with a bolt-action rifle. Takeshi and Shivo hide behind stone wall. Drop him without taking a hit, and then Takeshi does what Takeshi always does. Execute the raider, then eat him. Another worker landing quest appears, and as usual I send Takeshi. He boards the shuttle, leaving the colony behind. In exchange, a new recruit arrives, Leo. With Takeshi gone, it's time to see if the side characters can keep themselves alive. Shivo immediately goes on a food binge, but it's not a problem. Leo is actually a competent cook, and with over 1,000 rice stored, the colony won't be starving anytime soon. Unlike Shivo, who's a teetotaler, Leo has her own coping strategy. She loves smoke leaf. In fact, she loves it so much that I don't even need to worry about her mental breaks at all. She's too high to notice anything going on around her. Next comes a quest. A desperate nomad, Rogers, a refugee, wants to join. He's willing to work, so of course we accept. I hand him a revolver immediately because there's a panther prowling outside the base and it's only a matter of time before it decides one of our colonists looks tasty to eat. Sure enough, the colony gangs up on it, shoots it to death. One less hazard to worry about. Rogers, though, turns out to be valuable for another reason. He actually does research. For the first time, the colony isn't just surviving. With him at the table, we might actually reach geothermal or solar power. Cassandra decides to spice things up with a toxic fallout, and then, because that isn't quite enough, she sends a raid. One of them carries an assault rifle, the rest a melee. Instead of playing it safe and letting the spike traps do the work, I make a terrible decision. Shivo has 16 shooting, so surely he can outgun a raider with 3, except the raider has an assault rifle which sprays bullets everywhere, while Shivo has a revolver. How are you so bad? He's shooting 3. The result is predictable. The rifle downs the entire colony. Rogers is killed outright, the others are knocked down, and the raiders casually kidnap everyone who's still breathing. Rogers is left to rot in the dirt. He's fucking shooting 3 and you're shooting 16. Turns out, you don't need shooting skill when you have an assault rifle. Whatever. It takes a full 15 minutes before Takeshi finally returns. 15 minutes of no raids. If the others had survived, it might have been the quiet stretch they needed, but of course Cassandra waits until Takeshi sets foot back in the colony to send trouble. A manhunter pack of 2 monkeys. They attack while Takeshi is asleep, but the strike traps take care of them instantly. No fuss and no danger here. Of this, side to side, the colony has run its course. Takeshi moves on, this time to a mountain base, which immediately proves to be a mistake. The caves are barren of wood. First things first, Takeshi starts tearing down abandoned fungal walls to scrape together fungal wood. Survival in the mountain means getting enough wood and steel for a stonecutter's table because without bricks there's nothing actually to build with. Progress is slow. Every wall has to be mined out for rocks, every rock carved into bricks. The base grows slow but painfully slowly, and the whole thing feels like punishment for leaving the last colony behind. Maybe abandoning it was not a good idea after all. While mining, Takeshi collapses from food poisoning. Turns out living off wild mushrooms isn't exactly sustainable. Cassandra responds by sending a man in black to save him. Strangely enough, the newcomer is actually useful. He mines quickly, which in this cave system is a godsend. Takeshi eventually wakes up, only to immediately throw a tantrum. He spends his rage punching stone walls, which of course achieves nothing until he finally destroys the only thing that matters, the stonecutter's table. Fucking idiot! The only thing we can use to build? You fucking destroyed it? The only tool we had to make bricks. Brilliant. As if to prove a point, the man in black follows it up with a daze, wandering aimlessly through the tunnels. Apparently, living in a cave turns everyone into an idiot sooner or later. After a long crawl, the base finally has walls and nearly a door. Progress technically, but both colonists are teetering on the edge of breakdowns. The man in black snaps first, going berserk inside the cave. Takeshi has no choice but to shoot him down. Takashi in turn has his own mental break, a smoke leaf binge. Honestly, I can't even blame him. After everything, living in a cave, eating mushrooms, and just killing the only other survivor, I'd probably do the same. After a while we get the quest, the Forlorn Nomad. A refugee named Fox wants to join. He's only temporary, but for Takashi it's uncanny. Fox is another purple bat. Unfortunately, Fox is straight. It's probably why Takashi slips into a daze soon after. Fox doesn't fare any better. He collapses into a catatonic breakdown. At that point, I made the call. Takashi leaves Fox behind and abandons the cave entirely. Better pastures lie ahead, or at least anywhere that isn't a miserable cave. Takashi's new home goes up quickly. The area is rich with food, wood and materials, and with his skills in construction and plant cutting, the base takes shape fast. I even throw in a trap entrance to handle early raids. For the first time in a while, Takashi has cooked meals and a decent place to live. Maybe, just maybe, this will be the run where he avoids constant mental breaks. But that's where we'll end things for now. Subscribe to find out whether Takashi survives in this new place or Cassandra has other plans for him.